This is Classic FM from Global.
Happy Saturday night from me, DanTDM. Hopefully you're in the mood for some gaming because that is what we're doing between now and 10.
Next Level with DanTDM. Next Level with DanTDM
on Classic FM.
That was the music of Trevor Morris. Theda's love theme for Dragon Age Inquisition was performed for us by a studio orchestra. And before that, we started our time together with Christopher Tin and his Sogno di Volare from Civilization 6, thanks to the Macedonian Symphonic Orchestra. You're listening to Next Level with DanTDM here on Classic FM. If it's your first time in the gaming chair, then thank you for joining me. Every Saturday night at 9, I bring you an hour of the most iconic games and gaming music ever released. We also have a chat about what you've been playing, and I have a read through your recommendations. And trust me when I tell you, they have been coming in handy during those lazy days at home. Loads to look forward to on the way to 10, including music from the latest release in the Indiana Jones series and a trip to Arkham with Batman. Before any of that, though, it's Jack Wall's score to Mass Effect 2. From the game Mass Effect 2, that was Reflections. A studio orchestra performed the music of Jack Wall for us here on Classic FM. That was The Ocean on His Shoulders from BioShock. Andrew Skeet conducted the London Philharmonic Orchestra through the music of Gary Scheinman. Now, from a classic game to classical music used in a game. If you've heard the show before, you'll know that I love bringing you different examples of famous composers having their music featured in video games. And tonight, it's Holst's turn to get involved. His music was used in a couple of games from the Fallout series, which have classical music radio stations in them. If Fallout is a new one for you, the games are set in a post-apocalyptic world where a devastating nuclear war has destroyed everything. You battle mutated creatures and try your best to survive the harsh realities of the barren wasteland. Somehow, I haven't played any of these games yet, but people always tell me that they are incredible. Let me know if you've played them and where the series sits in your favorite games of all time by emailing me through classicfm.com. From Fallout 4 and Fallout 76, this is Gustav Holst and Mars, the Bringer of War. From Holst's Planets and the Fallout series, that was Mars, the Bringer of War, thanks to the Melbourne Symphony Orchestra and Chorus. Alyssa from Ipswich has emailed me through classicfm.com and she says, "Hi Dan, loving the music you're playing tonight. Me and my partner Alfie are listening to you while we play The Witcher. We love gaming together at the weekends and it's one of the things that brought us so close together when we first met. Our border collie Otis now keeps us company and is very patient when we play. So can you dedicate music from any of the Witcher games, especially for him? You and Alfie have great taste. The Witcher games are great and so is the music. And I could definitely play something for Otis. I know Border Collies have loads of energy, so from The Witcher 3, which was released for Xbox One and PlayStation 4 back in 2015, this is Wake Up Siri.
Next Level with DanTDM
on Classic FM.
James Carbot there performing his Rain or Shine from the game Thank Goodness You're Here. And before that, especially for Elisa, Alfie and their border collie Otis, we heard Wake Up Siri from The Witcher 3. Mikolaj Straczynski's music was performed for us by a studio orchestra. Right, I promised you music from the latest release in the Indiana Jones series tonight here on Classic FM, and that is exactly what we're about to enjoy. An upgraded version of the game was re-released a couple of weeks ago for PS5, and it's called Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, The Order of Giants. It's a story expansion where you play as Indiana Jones and investigate the legend of the Nameless Crusader and uncover the dark legacy of the Nephilim. You work alongside a young priest named Father Ricci and make your way through the underground tombs of Rome, confronting the secretive cult of Mithras on the way. There's plenty of side quests alongside the main missions, and I've heard it's really entertaining, with lots of nostalgic moments from the films. Let me know if you've played it or if you're going to with an email through the Classic FM website. If you're on the fence, the music we're about to hear should help make your mind up. By Gorby Harb, this is The Catacomb. From Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, that was The Catacomb. Gordy Harb performed and wrote that for us. And that was your new release for this week on Next Level with me, DanTDM, here on Classic FM. We'll have another one next weekend, so make sure you join me for that too. Back to tonight now, though, and there's still plenty of nostalgic soundtracks still to come before 10, including a chance to swing through New York with Spider-Man and take on vigilantes in Arkham with Bruce Wayne. But first, it'll be Santi Olaya and the main theme from The Last of Us.
Classic FM.
Experience. It's knowing when something is worth waiting for and when it isn't. That's why Saga Health Insurance offers unlimited GP appointments whenever you need them. With a choice of flexible plans, prompt tests and treatment, your health is taken care of. And right now, get 3 months free. Search Saga Health Insurance for a quote today. New customers starting a policy before the 27th of November pay by monthly direct debit for the first year. Terms and conditions apply. Over 50s only.
Oh, must be the new parent posse chat. We're not even new. Our kids are 8. Or, as Eddie says, 96 months. He moved off grid. Can confirm he's still on grid. And he's got another one on the way. He won't have the coverage to live stream the birth, will he?
Well, here at Tesco Mobile, we've made sure he has 99% network coverage. So he could if he wanted to.
Oh, sign me up.
It pays to be connected. Tesco Mobile. Every little helps. Over 99% UK population coverage on 4G.
The 1600s saw the birth of mighty legends. Bach, Handel and Mournflake. Now, 350 years later, we've composed a symphony of flavour that will rouse and stir you in just 2 minutes. Mournflake Mighty Oats. From creamy oats to crispy muesli and fruity granolas. Discover Mournflake's full range of mighty cereals in the cereal aisle and help celebrate 350 years of mighty oats.
Mum has always loved pottering in the garden and her daily walks with the dog. But when life became more challenging, especially after her fall, I couldn't always be there. That's when we turned to Country Cousins. Within 24 hours, they introduced us to Mum's wonderful live-in carer. Now, with the extra support, Mum's safe and happy, and we've all felt looked after, including the dog.
For over 60 years, Country Cousins has been matching families with exceptional live-in carers. Search Country Cousins online today.
At Pets in a Pickle, we're here when it matters most. For fuss-free pet insurance policies as unique as they are. Visit petsinnerpickle.co.uk.
Is joint pain holding you back? Flarin helps stop pain, relieves swelling and eases stiffness. And Flarin delivers powerful relief from joint pain and inflammation. So let's hear from a satisfied Flarin user.
Flarin, it's amazing. It's a life changer for me.
When joint pain flares, choose Flarin. Available at Tesco. Flarin Joint and Muscular Pain Relief 200mg soft capsules. Contains ibuprofen. Always read the label. To verify claims, visit flarin.co.uk.
At Lidl, we speak ghost. This one's saying you can get 20% off a monstrous range of Halloween costumes with Lidl Plus. Get sorted before they vanish. Lidl, more to value. 18 plus GB only while stocks last. Offer ends 15th of October. Terms apply. See lidl.co.uk/LPTV.
Next Level with DanTDM.
On Classic FM.
That was Gustavo Santaolalla and the main theme from his score to The Last of Us. I love that game. Now, I don't know if you saw, but last weekend it was World Batman Day. Yeah, where people all over the world get together to celebrate their love of the films, the comics, and most importantly for us, the games. Around this time, the Batman video games start featuring Easter egg missions and rewards for players. So I thought we'd celebrate the day with music from the iconic Arkham City game, which was released back in 2011. The story and missions have tons of different strands, and you can play as Bruce Wayne, who's been captured and thrown into Arkham Asylum. You have to escape your cell and then fight rival gangs and legendary villains like the Joker, Two-Face, and Penguin, all while stopping an evil takeover of Gotham. So it's safe to say there's plenty to keep you occupied, and the music definitely helps add in some extra urgency. Written by Nick Arundel from Batman Arkham City, this is the main theme.
Next Level with DanTDM
on Classic FM.
That was the main title from Joseph Jacqui's music for The Legend of Spyro, A New Beginning. Joseph himself performed that for us. And before that, in honor of World Batman Day last weekend, we heard another main theme, and this time it was Nick Arundel's score to Batman Arkham City, performed by a studio orchestra. Time for this week's listener suggestion here on Classic FM. If it's your first time listening to Next Level with me, DanTDM, then feel free to send me the gaming music that you want to hear me play or that you think I need to listen to with an email through our website. That's what Ryan in Blackburn has done, and he says, "Hi Dan, I've watched your YouTube videos for years, but I've only recently come across your show. I love the music you play, and it's even inspired me to try out a couple of games I probably wouldn't have. Is there any chance you can play something from the Spider-Man series for me this weekend? I'm in the middle of replaying it and loving doing so." Glad to hear it, Ryan, and I appreciate your kind words about the show. I'm glad that you're able to play new games from the music we listen to. It'd be pretty bad of me not to play what you've asked for after a review like that. So especially for you, this is Don't Give Up from Spider-Man.
Next Level with DanTDM
on Classic FM.
That was the music of Mashuru Yamane, and we heard the theme from the game Castlevania. Before that, thanks to Ryan in Blackburn, I played Don't Give Up from the game Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales, and we heard the London Voices performing with the Nashville Session Orchestra. And that brings our time together to a close for now. Thank you for listening to Next Level with me, DanTDM, and for all of your messages this week. I'm back with you again next Saturday night at 9, so please join me then if you can. For now, though, it's time to take it easy with your calm classics here on Classic FM.
Classic FM.
When it comes to retirement advice, the last thing you want is to be put in a bucket. Seen as this type of person, or that type of person. At Fisher Investments UK, we never put you in a bucket. We always tailor retirement advice that's just right for you. Fisher Investments UK, retirement advice that's as individual as you are. Learn more at fisherinvestments.co.uk. Investing involves the risk of loss. Fisher Investments UK is regulated by the UK Financial Conduct Authority.
Welcome our new bookworms to the club. Now, do you read traditional books or e-books?
Oh, real books.
Traditional, always.
Yes, quite.
I read e-books. I adjust it so the font's huge.
They make large font books.
Think bigger. Imagine Moby Dick all cuddled up with a book. His font size.
Oh, my goodness. Maybe it's time for varifocals. At Specsavers, get 2-for-1 varifocal glasses from £110. Conditions and exclusions apply. See online for details.
It's called Tourette syndrome. Makes me do things that I shouldn't.
I Swear is the film everyone's talking about.
We know you can't help it. Never apologise.
Critics are calling it life-affirming and laugh-out-loud funny.
Listen to that. Silent.
Hey, sorry.
Based on the remarkable true story, it's unmissable.
I can sit here, but I can help this lad.
And a film that might just change someone's life.
You always said I should do more to help people like me.
Make us proud.
I Swear, in cinemas October 10.
Find me somebody to love.
The Dream stock clearance sale is now on. I bet you beds are excited.
Oh yeah, we're bouncing.
Don't miss up to 30% off a range of stylish beds and comfy mattresses.
But don't hang about. You snooze, you lose.
Dreams. Let us find your bed that loves you back.
I've been asked by Shredded Wheat to read out their ingredients list. Drum roll. Whole grain wheat. No, that's it. A single ingredient, high fibre cereal. Shredded Wheat. It simply does it. I'm telling you, that's it. Applies to shredded wheat, bite size and big biscuit only.
At Lidl, we speak ghost. This one's saying you can get 20% off a monstrous range of Halloween costumes with Lidl Plus. Get sorted before they vanish. Lidl, more to value. 18 plus GB only while stocks last. Offer ends 15th of October. Terms apply. See lidl.co.uk/LPTV.
That there is a great night's sleep. And when Susan wakes up, she's going to get to enjoy a delicious unlimited breakfast. Or, if that super comfy bed is just too hard to leave, Susan can enjoy a midday checkout. Get better sleep for your money. Book now at Premier Inn. Breakfast subject to availability. T's and C's apply.